The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is sponsored by Two Fat Lattes and Geek Nation Tours. Also by the generous donations of you, the listener. Thank you to everyone for your continued support. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast, episode 207. Post-salute report, plus Snakes and Lattes, with hosts Neil Shuck, Mike Hobbs, Mike Whitaker and Dave Luff. Hello and welcome to another somewhat surprising, surprising for most of us since we weren't expecting to actually be recording this show, episode of the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. A bit of an extra for you. Basically, you hopefully will have just heard the Salute interview show, where we managed to grab quite a few interviews from Salute, but we haven't had much chance to kind of do any comment or debrief about the show. And so, especially with the fact that all of a sudden, everybody was around and available, we thought we'd put an extra little show together to give us a Salute debrief and a catch-up on what we've been up to. So, I'd like to welcome to the discussion for this evening, we have, in the red corner, Mr. Michael Hobbs, the one visiting himself. Hello, mate.
The red
Hello,
corner. Can you see the red corner?
Can I see the red corner?
Yes, and in the blue corner, weighing in at a mighty, big...
Don't go there. You're on shaky ground.
So I was introducing Luffy, not you, mate. We have the Luffmeister himself.
Hello. Have you gone all political tonight because of, since the last podcast we've now got a general election called? Is that why you've done this? Red corners and blue corners.
I don't know. I mean, in the green corner we have Mr. Michael Whitaker.
So what colour does that leave you with?
Oh, God, purple.
Undecided, like everything else.
You racist, you.
Me, I'm sat in the middle. I am
sat on the fence.
Indeed.
Yellow then.
Good evening, one and all, and welcome to what could prove to be an interesting discussion. Okay, so. Hello, chaps. Welcome, one and all. Nice to be all back together since we've all been to parts foreign and domestic in the last week or so. Myself and Mr. Luff made the trip down to Salute on Saturday, did we not, sir?
Yeah.
You loved it, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Loved every minute of it.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Mr. Whitaker has actually been to parts massively foreign, and we have photographic evidence appearing on social media. Have you...
Certainly do.
Playing instruments in foreign places.
And generally having a whale of a time, as well as playing some board games, of which more later.
Wonderful stuff. Well, and Mr. Hobbs, I mean, you were even playing games while some of us were working at Salute, weren't you?
I went to Abergavenny.
Wow.
I thought you were gaming.
I was in Abergavenny.
Oh, in Abergavenny. Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. Because
gaming capital of Wales.
About to say, gaming's head for the universe, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah. Because that's where Mark lives.
Ah, right. Yes, everything falls into place now. Mm. Yes. Potentially a better place to be gaming than, I don't know, somewhere like Docklands. Would you say, Mr. Luff?
Yes.
You can tell he really enjoyed Salute. We'll get there in a minute. Anyway, before we go any further, I believe, Mr. Hobbs, I believe you received some correspondence.
Yeah, now this is odd, Neil. You see, the other day I received a handwritten letter pushed underneath my door.
Really?
you want me to read it out? Because it's quite interesting.
So this means someone knows where you live.
Yeah.
That's worrying.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, please,
Yeah.
pray tell, yes.
It starts off with, Dear Heretic, here at the Church of Frugal Wargamers, we welcome all those who have strayed from the true path into a life of reckless abandonment. Under the wise ministry of Guru Luff, all hail him, we can help you come back to wargaming enlightenment. It's time to throw off the bounds of crass commercialization that makes you buy so many new things and dedicate yourself to purity in the hobby. It's a proven fact that the buying habits of some wargames are causing global warming to increase due to the amount of raw product they consume, and this will bring the end of the world closer. We believe that the dilution of the hobby is a cancer that needs to be cut out, and true believers find nirvana by only playing one game with one army. In fact, Guru Luff only owns one figure that he uses in all the games that he plays. So we invite you to join us here at the Church of Frugal Wargamers, where we can show you the one true way by using Guru Luff's patented electrical head massage treatment and waterboarding. Please bring your lead pile with you for disposal and ensure you shave your head, as this helps the electrode stick. Yours in love, the Church of Frugal Wargamers, Sub-Basement 47, the Meeples Bunker.
That explains why Neil shaved his head recently, doesn't it?
It's growing back. It's growing back. I thought people wouldn't have noticed.
Neil has become apostate.
Yes.
Mind you, from what I hear about what happened at Salute on Saturday, so is the head of the cult.
Yes.
No. Board games don't count.
Dear Lord, here we go again.
So, Guru Luff, if that is your real name, is it true that you've started? Is it true that you've started a cult in the Meeples Bunker?
Well, it seems that way. I wasn't aware of it.
Using that excuse, are you?
There's been a few bits on Facebook about just going to Salute and buying a single pot of paint and etc. So apparently it's growing. I didn't know, but it's growing.
People seem to be following you, Dave.
It's the only way. It's a sensible way. It only dilutes what you already enjoy. Don't replace what you already enjoy.
As the letter says.
Yes. Interestingly, part of our Twitter conversation this week also includes somebody whose very name is the Frugal Wargamer,
That is true.
who also appears to be known as Dave.
Everyone knows a bloke called Dave.
My God, I go away for a week. And a lot of you lose your marbles.
No. I definitely didn't lose my marbles. We had a photo with him on Saturday.
Is that the Colonel Marbles?
That is the Colonel Marbles. Yes, our one and only selfie on Saturday was with Colonel Marbles himself. So we definitely haven't lost our marbles.
If I may quote from chapter 1 of the second book of the Guru, Dave, get on with it!
It has to be said that there may have been a certain amount of
apostasy.
Is that name for it? Right, okay.
I thought that was a spite.
Shall we adjourn this conversation just slightly and come back and let's have a chat about Salute, shall we?
Are we going to do that before or after we do the chat about what we've done this week?
It's all part and parcel.
Not for me, it ain't. I wasn't at Salute. Neither was Hobbsy.
I was at Abergavenny.
I was in Toronto.
Abergavenny, gaming capital of Wales.
Toronto, gaming capital of Canada.
There you go. London Docklands.
I must get through to Sergeant Watson's position. Jenkins, cover me.
Sir.
Whoa. Sergeant Watson, bring your men in. Withdraw.
It's all right, sir. We're enjoying ourselves.
What?
Yes, sir. It's these here chain of command rules, sir. We're having great fun.
Chain of command?
That's right, sir. It's that challenging but fun blend of command and control. It gives me the freedom I want to fight the way I want to. Never had so much fun, sir. And we've cooked you some sausages. Can't be helped, sir. Me and the lads are staying put. Chain of Command World War II platoon level rules from two fat Lattes. They really put you in control. And they're even better than sausages.
Okay, so, I mean, that's part of what we've been up to. Let's have a quick chat about Salute, and then we'll catch up with everything else we've been up to. Let's get the elephant out of the room first and foremost. Yes, me and Mr. Luff went to Salute, and you may have heard interviews we got. Quite a few 18 interviews, which I think is a new record. That's 2 hours in audio, and it took, it really did take all day to get that lot. I mean, it's just amazing how much time is. I mean, here we go. Okay, Luffy, open net for you. Yeah, it's amazing how much time it takes to get 2 hours worth of interviews.
It is, isn't it? Not that I was involved very much at all this year, but we'll touch on that later.
What? Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. It's going to be like that, is it? Right. Okay. I know. I'm abandoned, left to my own devices, just because someone just wanders off and decides that he wants to buy something. I mean, I was in shock. Yes, more of that in a second. Yes. So, 2 hours worth of interviews. Apologies first off for everybody I didn't get. Still didn't manage to grab an interview with Nick Wobson from Eureka Miniatures. Actually, I finally managed to get hold of Nick, and it was like 5 o'clock. And it was the first time I got to it where it got to the stand he was either not talking to anybody or actually there. I was like, Nick, can I have a quick word? No, because I got to go and get the van. And it was like, no!
Obviously, there was this slow, forlorn figure trudging across Salute that was trying to get this very last interview after they'd told us that it was closed and it was time to go home, and he was going, no, just one more. Yeah.
Just one more soundbite.
Yeah, just one more soundbite for the fans, for the Meeps.
The Meeps.
Oh, God. I was like, oh, go on then, Neil. Off he went, trudging that lonely walk across Salute with no one to be seen.
I can picture it now.
Stall holders beginning to pack away their goods for the year. Neil slowly trudging across, only for what he intended to happen to be dashed upon the rocks of despair. Poor lad.
The man said no. However, there is compensation in the fact that he said, well, I said, well, is it possible we can actually arrange to get you on the show and have a full interview with you? And he said, well, I don't normally do that sort of thing because I don't really like doing it, but I'll make an exception for you. So, Hobbsy, Nick's coming on the show.
Cool.
Excellent. And saw lots of the new Grand Baton miniatures that they're bringing out. Oh, they're nice. Oh, some very nice stuff there. Other guy who I knew I wasn't going to get on the show because basically the GZG store was absolutely rammed all day. But several people have asked already, can we please get John Tuffley on the show? So I managed to grab a very quick word with John. And I afterwards, which I was accused of being a bit of a fanboy, I did have a bit of a fanboy moment.
It was sickening, guys. It was sickening. You should have seen it.
But it's like, John, please, would you mind coming on the show? And John Tuffley said yes. So we are getting John Tuffley from Grand Zero Games coming on the show.
What? Yes, he'd mind, or yes, he'll come on the show. Do you mind coming on the show, John? Yes, I do.
Yes, yeah. So 2 results from people that we didn't actually get an interview with, but I mean, it's like wandering around looking for games. I mean, it's stupid things like I was hoping to go grab an interview with Simon Miller. They were running a Raffia game on something like a 20-odd foot table. I didn't even see the table all day. And Simon. I mean, he puts on fantastic games. It's difficult not to spot on a game show because of the shirts he wears. So I just missed him completely all day. It was a real shame. But hopefully, I hope I'll catch up with him at Partisan. But it was one of those things of it's a show that's notable, not so much for the people you just bump into and talk to, but also for for everybody that you miss. And it also appears, looking at social media, that an awful lot of our listeners were at the show. And there are people that have been listening for years from different countries who were at the show who it would have been really nice to talk to, and I didn't get a chance to speak to them.
Maybe next year we should arrange a meetup.
A meet?
A Meeps meet, yeah.
Yeah, more of this later. I'm actually considering doing something a bit different for next year. But let's talk about the rest of this year first, and then I'll come back to that because I have an idea which I was going to put out to you guys. All that said,
let's get to the crux. What did you buy?
Well, no. I was actually going to say before we go into what do we buy, I was going to say, Dave, what do you think of the show?
Yeah.
Salute. It's been dying a death for me for a few years, to be honest. Nothing wrong with the people that run it. I don't know if it says something about the hobby when it comes to shows, but Salute, year on year, is now becoming to me as just one big shopping trip, and that's it. Really, nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it's beginning to come across. There's every year now I find less and less reasons to go because it's just a shopping trip.
So even if it is a shopping trip, you wouldn't you wouldn't particularly go.
It's a lot. Well, I suppose if you live inside the M25 or just outside the M25, it's a very good reason to go. But if you're having to travel any distance, obviously you've got the expense of your ticket. And I'm not complaining about the price of the ticket, don't get me wrong, because XL Centre cannot be cheap to hire at all. And then you've got the parking.
It isn't.
Yeah. And then you've got the parking. And then you've got your fuel getting down there and getting back. And then all of a sudden you start going, wow, this is getting a really expensive shopping trip when there's this thing called the internet. And I know you can see things, and I know you can see some gear.
There is the question, though, of what value do you place on going to Salute, per se? And if the answer is it's just a shopping trip, then yes, I can see how that might be. But there are allegedly still games there, and they're still fun.
I think
this is about to be the can of worms we're about to open, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they're dropping off year on year, to be honest. Which has already been alluded to on Facebook on the Meeps page, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, we spent some time apart, shall we say, during the day.
We'll move on to that later, Hobbsy. You'd have been there to support me, Hobbsy. You would have been.
Did you have an argument? Was there fighting?
No, he just deserted me, mate, for 2 hours.
Whilst I was busy wandering around grabbing interviews, Dave had 2 hours to wander around the show and take in the whole thing and have a look at everything I missed. That was the opportunity. And Mr. Luff, what did you do with that opportunity?
I sat down with Clarky and watched Clarky play sharp practice.
Well, that's always a good day.
Well, the thing was, he's not being entirely honest here with you. You see, we couldn't get in contact with each other because Neil's got a rubbish phone. No, actually, what it was on the day was that the 3 network had gone down throughout the entire country, and I hadn't realised.
So he spent the whole day accusing me of having. I'm ringing you, Dave. I can't get through to you. Oh, it's you. You got a crap phone.
Well, anyone buys a phone that's from a company that make televisions, I do not know, but that's a different story.
Samsung make televisions?
Yeah. Anyway. So, where were we?
You were sat with Clarky all day.
Yeah, so I sat with Clarky all day. That was it. So, anyway, but I still had internet, funnily enough. So I posted on Facebook, on the Meeps page, that I lost Neil. He's disappeared, and he gets back and he says, "Oh, where are you?" And I go, I'm at Clarky's stand between N9 and N10. I'll wait here for you." So an hour gone, and no Shuck still had turned up.
Well, it's a long walk across the Lutes, you know.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, yeah. But the truth behind all this was that I went to go and buy something, you see, and I went to go and buy it, and then he just vanished. He just did a runner on me. That's what he did. Deserted me. Now, I know if you were there, Hobbsy, you'd have been there to give me moral support as I handed over my hard-earned cash.
I would have been there taking photographs, mate. Handed over your hard-earned cash.
Yeah, it was a bargain, though, so I had to buy it.
Okay.
So what did you buy?
I bought Dungeon Saga.
Mr. Whitaker, chalk up another one.
Well done, that man.
Hey, before you start congratulating him, okay. The 20-minute discussion beforehand, before this purchase took place.
There was vacillation, was there?
Amongst other things, is it any good? What do you mean, is it any good? Dave, you were on the show when we reviewed it.
Yeah, I've been asleep since then a few times, done a few people's lounges since then.
And it was like, I don't normally buy games I haven't played. Well, why not splash out and join the other 95% of the gaming population that buy games before they play them?
Yeah. This is the man that's gone 150 quid all in. Anyway, never mind. Carry on.
Sorry, you bought everything.
That, mate.
No, I didn't. In the end, I bought the companion because of Mr. Whitaker's advice, and I bought the base game. To be honest, I bought it from Troll Trader, and it was an absolute deal. It was really good price.
It's Troll Trader. It always is. He's a great.
Well, at the show, it was extra cheap.
Yeah. Are you happy with your purchase?
Yeah. I've read all the rules already. It was that good.
There you go, then.
Yeah. It was really well wrote, to be honest, and I've actually really enjoyed reading the rules of the companion and the base game. I think they're really well written. The funny thing is, though, is that as you are reading the rules, you suddenly go, "Hey, that doesn't make sense. That sort of contradicts what I've just read." And then you read the next paragraph, and it says sort of like, "Yes, but this happens, but forget about the bit you just read before if this happens." And it was like, "Oh, right, great, okay." But yeah, they are well written, the rules are, and quite enjoyed reading them, which normally I don't enjoy reading rules, so that's good. But he deserted me. I bought it for £30, the base game.
That's good.
I think it's exceptional because Troll Trader, it's even more on their website.
Yeah.
So I was quite chuffed, and that's why I bought it Absolute, and then found the reasons why people carry big Sainsbury's bags and other supermarket bags around. Absolute, yes.
I found him and he went, "No, can we go back to the car? It's heavy."
Let's be truthful here. Your shoulders were being pulled off by your big bag that you carry around with all your camera stuff and everything else on it. So you were complaining as well.
I wasn't complaining. I felt a bit like I felt a bit like Sherpa Tenzing because Hobbsy wasn't there to carry it around for me, but abandoned I'd been.
So there you go.
Carry your stuff.
I was abandoned, Hobbsy, and he was not there to support me.
If I was there, you could have dumped it underneath my demo table like Neil does every year when I'm there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Comes and finds me and goes, "Can I just dump this on you?" Buff.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I'll see you later. Yeah.
Yes. Funny enough, 2 hours later, he wanders back to deposit more stuff, usually.
Yeah. In my defence, I saw Mr. I went to go to find out what Mr. Luff was doing. I saw him in the distance, approaching the till. The amount of people between me and the till. I mean, the Troll Trader stand was just rammed. It's like, you know what? My time can be spent doing, performing extra duties. So I disappeared off and grabbed about 5 interviews. And then, at that point, I lost him.
It took me 5 minutes to pay for my goods, if that.
Anyway, so, yes.
I'd like to reiterate a comment that Hobbsy and I have made a number of times. Old, married couple.
I was just thinking that.
Funnily enough, we bumped, when we finally got back together, I was in the middle of interviewing Matt Slade and Ralph Plowman. Hi, guys. And Dave wanders up and funnily enough, immediately starts arguing. Where have you been? What have you been doing? Did you not know I've spent hours waiting for you? If I didn't know better, I think I was married to him.
I could make multiple comments at this point, but I'm going to be good and just ask the obvious question of, so Neil, what did you buy?
What did I buy?
Dave, did you buy anything else?
Yeah, I did actually. What else did I buy? I bought some stuff from Peter Pig. I bought some chickens, and I bought some pigs, and I bought a pissoir as well.
What?
A pissoir.
Isn't that some sort of bottle?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And then what else did I buy? I went and bought something else as well.
Did you?
Ben Gun Carriers?
Yes, that's it. Thank you, that man. Bren Gun Carriers from the Plastic Soldier Company. From Mr. Will Townsend. We bought some of those and put them together with his sponsored glue I got last year.
He wasn't going to buy them, you know. I mean, we were at Will's stand just before the show opened, and Will had a pile of Bren Gun Carriers. And I turned to Dave and I said, you know, go and grab a box before they all sell out. He was most reluctant, despite the fact that's what he'd come to the show for. He's what he'd come to the show to buy.
Yeah, but I was going to have to carry them around for the rest of the show. That was why. So I thought I'd leave it a little bit later and I won't carry them around for so long.
Because obviously a box of plastic Bren Gun Carriers is so heavy.
Yeah. A box of 7 15mm carriers, that's going to weigh you down, isn't it?
7? A mere 7? Plastic Soldier Company give you value for money. It's 9. With all the variables.
Such a fanboy.
You can't not Will. He does give you a good bang for your buck.
He does.
So yes, so Mr. Luff's Wallet was opened at a war game show for the first time in several years.
Well, first time in Salute in several years, apart from a pot of paint. Yeah.
So from that, I mean, the show must have been wondrous, because I couldn't say that doesn't happen. Yes, other than that, Luffy got to have a look around. I mean, while I was busy chasing around trying to grab interviews with everybody, and to say apologies to anybody I missed.
So, was there any good games there? Before we get to you, Mr. Shuck.
Before I get to me, what's any good games? It's an interesting one. I didn't get to see an awful lot, to be perfectly honest. It's really strange when you're rushing around trying to see bits and pieces. The one that actually stood out to me was, I don't know who it was, but somebody put an X-Wing game of the air battle around the transmission tower on Scarif. I think it was being run by the guys from 186 Squadron. So it was an X-Wing table, but it was in 3 tiers. So the bottom had the base of the tower and with a scenic base, the tower itself, and then halfway up was basically like a perspex table, and then the top part of the tower, and that's where most of the battling took place. And then there was a further deck at the top, which basically had the shield generator on it, and I thought that was really cool. I like the look of that. Not a lot of anything else actually stood out and grabbed me, and I must admit, an awful lot of the stuff I missed completely. And it wasn't until, I was just before recording this show, I was watching a video from Mal the Terrain Tutor, who did a video for about 40 to 45 minute video, and he tours around all the tables, because obviously, I mean, he's looking at the tables to see, okay, what have they made everything out of, and that was the first time I've got to see most of the games at the show. I really liked Ministry of Gentlemanly Warfare. Had a couple of small games on, one of which they were both their Gothic. Their new Gothic rules, and there was werewolves versus vampires in Highgate Cemetery. That looked a really cool table, but I didn't get to see an awful lot else, I'm afraid. And of the stuff I did see, not a massive amount stood out. It was quite interesting to see what Mr. Clark had done to the table that we knew from Viva Las Vegas. From his last shop practice, it has now been completely transformed into the Peninsula War, and and you almost wouldn't recognise it from last year. But it's the same boards. He's just changed them completely.
Yeah, it does look good. What about you, Dave? What do you see in your 2 hours when you couldn't find Neil?
I saw Clarkie's table.
That's cool.
And just watched the game there. It was quite Clarkie's table there. There were plenty of people around it all day. It was plenty of people watching on and asking some good questions about the game and what have you. It seemed like there was quite a few new players. Mr. Clark did offer me a game at one point, which I was all too willing and happy to take, but I thought it'd be better to have some players that probably haven't played the game, so I didn't want to take anyone's possible slot that's never played it, and I did say that to him, and he got the ump with me. He says, "Oh, now you're a celebrity." He says, "You just don't want to know me anymore."
Did he make you a badge?
No. Why is he making badges at the moment?
He did make a badge once and stick it on my chest, which said "War Game Celebrity," and he made me wear it.
Badges. We need no stinking badges.
Yes.
Yeah, but no, that was quite good. Even while I was waiting around to try and find where Neil was, and he just didn't bother responding. He never calls. Never. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that was good actually. We were watching Clarkie win a few games. That was good.
The one thing I did notice an awful lot more this year, and this is something that came up. I mean, as I say, there was Mr. Slade, he of Glenbrook Games Painting Services, who we will be speaking to in the next few weeks, raised a question on our Facebook group about, because apparently it came from a comment that was on the Lattes Yahoo group, apparently, about the lack of big. What was the word he used? Lack of big. But basically, it was the lack of big games and the lack of really big, inspiring games at Salute this year, and that instigated a fair amount of discussion. It has to be said. 60 odd comments on the thread so far, I think it was.
Mm.
And some of it was, and some of it actually ended up surrounding the whole thing of, why you put on games at shows. And as I think all of us have put on a show put on a game at Salute. Mike has certainly done demos at Salute for a long time with Gripping Beast. Mr. Whitaker has done loads with Peter War Games Club. Luffy,
actually only 2 at Salute.
Well, even so, it's okay. Loads being more than one, yeah. but even so, yeah. But I mean, you put on a load of display games elsewhere, and myself and Mr. Luff have put on the odd display game as well. And I can't remember if Dave ever got involved with the Scimitar games at Salute, but I did. Certainly, did you, Dave?
No.
All right. But certainly, Scimitar War Games Club in commentary are regulars putting on games at Salute, and I certainly spent a few years doing that. So I thought it would be interesting for us to comment on the value and thoughts about putting on games at Salute.
Well, if you cast your mind back to when we left and we pulled out the car park, Neil, and there was all those vans and everything, and then those 3 great big massive lorries came hurtling in.
Yes.
I just said, oh my word, look at the state of that. I feel sorry for the poor devils that have got to put all their stalls away and all the people that have put games on today. And then it was funny when, it came up on the Meeples Facebook page, which was quite interesting. I thought, well, there you go. I'm not the only one that was thinking it.
No, on the year we did the Dam Busters game, for those who are not familiar with how Salute works, they will let you onto the show floor in a vehicle at about, either the previous day or at 7, 8 a.m. on the morning of the show. So we got to basically offload the entire thing from the back of whose car? I think it was my car. Offload the whole thing from the back of my car at 8 a.m. and set up literally from the back of my car right next to where the game was. But when it comes to getting back in to load up, unless you go out an hour or more before the show ends, you are sat in a queue. When Ruben last year ran PE2 Collectibles with his van, with a hired van, he literally, we helped to tear down, and he didn't make it back to load the van up until something like 6:30.
Yeah, that's normal. You'll find about 3 o'clock, the stalls will lose one person because everybody rushes down to get the the vans up, and then they sit there for 2 hours before they can get back in.
Yeah, it is a bit. It's a bit of a drag. But if you can't afford to spare the person, you have no choice but to not to basically tear down and then sit like a bunch of stuffed dummies while you wait in the queue to load up.
I must admit, when we put a game on, it was made sure that it was kind of man portable, that you could carry it and take it down the escalators and stuff to the car park.
Well, that's what we did. That's what we did with Dambusters in the end. We took it down in about 8 or 9 loads. But the kind of the point there is that one of the drawbacks of that approach is that you start losing. Salute surely is the place for the big epic game. If you're gonna do a big stupid game like 18 feet of Lino and a 6-foot model of the Murder Dam or anything like that, the place to do it is Salute.
Yeah.
And it just makes it hard.
Yeah, and interestingly, as I say, stupidly enough, didn't see an awful lot of games this year, but there didn't appear to be a massive amount of big games. I mean, obviously, there's Simon Miller's Raffia game, which, as I said, stupidly enough, I spent all day wandering around trying to see and missed it completely. And it's like, how do you miss a 24-foot table? But there you go. So hopefully I'll see that at Partisan. I think he's taking it to Partisan. But as I said, looking at the impression I got wandering around generally was that there were an awful lot of small games this year. Awful lot of games taking place on 4-foot by 4-foot tables. Now, whether that's demo games from stands or whether that's games that are being put on for the punters, that they can get involved in. There seemed to me to be an awful lot of small games this year.
Well, this is what we said last year. We said that majority, it seems to be moving away from the big club spectacle games and more into small company-based demo games. This come and try out our new game. This is our table. And is that a bad thing? I don't think so. I mean, it's nice to see the great big, the huge, great spectacle games, but if it's a great big spectacle game where nothing moves and basically people are just standing around and talking and not moving any figures, I'd rather use that space to actually learn how to play a new game.
Is it yet again more indicative of the hobby that, there are more and more of these smaller games on the market?
Yeah.
And so that's what you're going to see more of, because actually, that's a lot of where we are at the moment.
I'd like to see what Mike, what you did at the Peterborough show with your Dambusters game. That is just a fantastically devised participation game. It's quick, simple, fun to play. It looks big, and that's brilliant. But then you get these sort of 25-foot long Napoleonic games which look fantastic, but nobody moves a figure all day, and you can't even touch it.
Witness that the Waterloo anniversary salute, that massive Waterloo game, which was
it looked fantastic, but it just didn't do anything.
Absolutely gorgeous, but it might as well have been a static diorama.
Yeah, I'd rather learn to play a new game or just get on. It's Pars Hunters and Hammerhead. Participation games. Get people playing games. Learn a new game. Go and play something. Play something before you buy it.
No, that'll never catch on.
I mean, I'm all for that, what you're saying there, Hobbsy, but I just wonder if Salute offers that in a conducive way for people that don't live, close to London. When there are now some very good shows all around the country now that are quite sizable, where a lot of these companies that are quite happy to show their games off, they go to these shows as well now.
That is a really interesting point. I think one of the things is that, especially with things like the new Newark Showground venue, for example, I'm one of many.
Derby,
but there are
the East Midlands War Game Show that it should be called.
The East Midlands War Game Show that moves further south each year. Yeah. Yes, there are a lot of shows around the country that have really upped their game, and with a couple of new shows that are coming on coming on board as well. I mean, Robin this year was, it was good for a first year, but you could certainly see the scope of where it was going. With the fact that you're getting a lot of very good big shows around the country, does that now start to ask the question of, does everybody have to gravitate to Salute? Yes, Salute has always been the big show for a long time, and obviously with its travel links to Europe and various other bits and pieces, it's going to be the show that some people will go to. But I mean, interestingly, funny enough, even chatting to Mr. Hyde, hello Henry, we actually had the conversation. It's like, hang on a second, parking was up. I mean, some people have pointed out since we could have parked slightly cheaper elsewhere, but I mean, the main parking for Excel was up by 25% this year. It's £20 to park.
And the other parking was in the other county though, wasn't it?
yeah, it was in Kent.
There is a reason why it's £5 cheaper.
Yeah, so it's £20. It was £20 parking. You add to that. For us, for example, we had a 250-mile round trip. That was 5.5 hours in the car, which Mr. Luff loved, didn't you, Dave?
Yeah, even 50 minutes now makes me think twice.
Especially when you're worried about his phone as well, but there we go. So you put 250 miles worth of petrol in your budget, plus £20 to park, plus your ticket price, and as Mr. Luff says, it starts to become a bit of an expensive shopping trip when you have really good shows within 45 minutes drive. As I say, we're based in Leicester. Newark is 45 minutes away, if that. We've got shows in Nottingham now. UK Games Expo's in a few weeks. Slightly bigger than Salute these days. Okay, slightly different show, but even so. But there's a lot of, that it's at the point where even somebody who, I've really enjoyed going to Salute over the years, but I'm beginning to think twice whether actually, is it really worth going down to Salute just for that day? Is it? Obviously from a trader point of view, yeah, it's got to be worth it because it's the capital, and there's an awful lot of people go to the show. But I'm starting to ask the question whether it is actually, in some ways, whether it is actually worth going or not. It's an interesting one because at the same time, the flip side, from a media point of view, it's almost like, well, how can you not go? There is so much there. There is so much going on. There is so much launched at Salute. How can and everybody's there. How can you not go? And at the same time, you have this other thing of loads of people do go, and it's great because you bump into people, and people, podcast listeners and stuff that you hardly ever see otherwise. So that's one reason to go.
Yeah, but you're approaching it as a person who's in the media. If you're just a punter. Is there a point in going? Or do you go to smaller, friendlier event where what's the big benefit for going to Salute? Are there traders who go to Salute who don't go to any other show?
Paul, for example, Deep Cut Studios are at Salute this year. That's the only show that's the only UK show they're going to go to. But they came over from Lithuania. Fireforge Games were there from Italy. There are traders from Europe who will just come over for that show because it's easy to get to. It's the only UK show they will do. So, Steve Barber Models, one of my personal favourite small companies. Salute is the only show that he does. It's one of his local shows. It's the only show that he does. West Wind Productions. It's the only show now that Wendy and Andy will do in person. That's an interesting one. Because again, actually, they're getting to the point they're just too busy to do the other shows.
Although I think we might have taught them into Hereward this year.
You'll get West Wind Productions. Whether or not you'll actually get Andy and Wendy is another matter entirely. Kevin and Sally from Hassle Free were over for Salute because, they're now based in the States, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
They are. Yeah, so that's probably the only show where that's probably the only show now that you'll get to see Kevin and Sally in the UK. So it has some advantages.
Yeah, I think Salute. I think Bill from Futsal was going to come across to Salute from over in Ohio, but apparently his wife booked the wrong week, so he's coming over today.
Oops, that's a bit embarrassing.
What, it's going to have a week late?
Yep. Hi, Bill, if you're listening.
Don't.
That annoy you before he's come on.
Zero.
I mean, I know he's a mate, but come on.
It was on Twitter. It's all in the public domain.
Oh, dear.
You're rotten, you lot are laughing at some of the poor chap's fate.
It'll be quieter when he comes across. I mean, that's one good thing. You won't have to work on a Saturday. I mean, there's many benefits for turning up to Salute a week late.
Yeah, I wish I had.
So you can really tell Mr. Luff enjoyed Salute a lot. Yeah, you're going to get next year, aren't you, Dave?
Yeah, I'll be there. Probably will be, probably.
Still searching for Neil.
Yes, just deserted. Just tossed aside.
Mm. It's like a Disney film, isn't it? Finding Chucky.
Yeah. Finding Chucky.
Oh no! Oh, thank you, Mr. Hobbs. I can see the internet memes already.
Yeah, you just want a big photo aerial shot of the entirety of Salute and a where's Shucky. Get Neil to wear the appropriate striped shirt. Actually,
it's quite hard to try and find Neil at Salute, as I found out this week. Especially because he's just so diminutive. That's really why. You just miss him. You look over the top of him. I mean, I didn't see Neil. I saw Matt the other day before I saw Neil, and I was like, "Oh, there's Matt. Oh, look, there's a Neil with him."
Anyway, so have we done Salute to death?
Well, we haven't asked
You think, Ish?
the big question.
What big question?
What have you bought?
What have I bought? Oh no,
good point. You haven't.
Yeah, moving swiftly on. Yeah.
No.
What did you buy, Neil?
Not a lot. I only bought one thing.
All in 2 feet.
And that was?
And that was, I might have bought a second copy of Room Wars, the miniatures game.
He sat there in the middle of Salute for about 15 minutes, wandering around other stores, just trying to justify it.
I even rang Hobbsy. Yeah, I rang him. I don't know if Hobbsy still got the voicemail message. I rang him. Hobbsy!
Yeah, I've got the voicemail message.
Quick, talk me out of it!
Yeah, you'll come to the wrong person for that.
Yes. Again, Troll Trader had Room Wars for, I think it was £75.
They didn't have a lot left, did they, at the end of the show?
So was that ironic?
Well, they didn't. No, they didn't have much of anything.
No, they didn't have a lot of anything.
They got hammered.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they had a lot of good deals on, and I saw that and thought, it was too good a deal to pass up. I was going to save buying a second copy of Room Wars for a bit. So that was the main thing I bought, a second copy of Room Wars, following on from what else I did this week, but we'll come back to that in a minute. That was it.
Cool.
That was Salute. So, tell you what, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll catch up with everything else we've been up to in the last week or so. We hope that you're enjoying this episode of the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. If you are, would you like to support us? There's a couple of ways of doing so. You can become a patron of the show by supporting us on our Patreon page. There you can give regularly every time we produce a show. Alternatively, you may want to give a one-off donation, and you can do that by using PayPal. For more details on both these options, please click on the Donate tab on our website, www.meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. What have we been playing? What have we been buying? We might even have painted something. The Meeples and Miniatures crew reveal all. then, chaps, what else have we been up to in this past week, other than visiting Salute? Mr. Whitaker, you've been to parts foreign. Please tell us.
I've been to parts foreigner than Hobbsy, even.
You mean
Yep.
outside of Abergavenny, Mike?
Yes. Yeah, okay, to be fair, Abergavenny is pretty damn foreign. You sure you don't want to go first?
No, I think we should listen to your exploits.
Right, so I was guest at a science fiction music convention in Toronto, actually at the Toronto West Airport Hotel, which is literally about 5 minutes from the airport, which was a great deal of fun. Got to basically make music with a not last minute, but woefully under-rehearsed band of various people who I've known for a while, all of whom are ridiculously talented and thus managed to pull it off, and it was great fun. On the Monday, which is the bit that I think our listeners will be more interested in, some of the friends and us headed into the middle of Toronto. Now, Toronto has a surprising number of board game cafes.
Ooh.
I mean, seriously, if you go search for Toronto Board Game Cafe, really quite a few turn up. Most of them tend to open sort of late afternoon evenings, but we found a place which is rather wonderfully named Snakes and Lattes. It actually has 2 branches in Toronto, and it's freaking huge. They have nearly 1,000 games, including things like, multiple copies of the popular ones, so on and so forth. They have enough tables to seat, Lord, over 250 people.
Wow, that is a big place then.
Yeah, it was somewhere about a quarter full at 2 o'clock on a Monday afternoon. So yes, there were a lot of people there. Let's try to draw a parallel. There's probably about a 30-foot length of shelf, overhead high, that covers most of what you and I would classify as the sort of strategy and Euro and the more grown-up, if you like, board games. Multiple copies of things like, Ticket to Ride, Carcassonne, Settlers, that kind of thing. Right all the way up to things like Dead of Winter, which is not the kind of sort of game you expect 90% of the cafe-going public to want to play on a whim, and so on and so forth. And then they have another complete shelf about the same size for all the sort of things like word games, like Dixit and so on and so forth. Apples and oranges, whatever. There's another similar word game. All the dexterity games like Jenga and kids games, and they have shed loads of games. They do really nice food. They're really nice people. They had, I think, by the time we left, they probably had 4 or 5 waiting staff working the place, and they have what are called game curators, who are basically exist to keep the game stock spick and span, and have played most of the games. And indeed, the guy who was on duty the day we were in came and popped his head over to see how we're getting on. We were playing Last Night on Earth, which I don't know if
I like that game.
Is a survival horror zombie game, and is excellently good fun and probably merits a 5-minute potted review at some point. We had a great time, so much that the original plan was we were going to be there for about 5 hours because our friend's flight didn't leave till 6 and ours didn't leave till 10 p.m. So we thought we'll go in, grab brunch, probably grab a snack later in the day. We were originally going to play Last Night on Earth and then play something else, but we had so much fun with the first game of Last Night on Earth, we played a second game of Last Night on Earth instead.
Oh, right.
And I got a very nice chat with Steve, the game curator. He's not the owner, but he's one of the senior staff. He's responsible for he was doing quite a bit of game maintenance while he was there. He put parked away on a table of his own with a pair of headphones on a large stack of game boxes. And I got a little 10-minute chat with him about the cafe, about their podcast. They have a board games podcast, which I promised I'd give them a mention for. And in general, absolutely brilliant place. Wonderful place. If you are listening to this podcast from anywhere within even remotely sensible driving distance of Toronto, there's a Snakes and Lattes on College and another one a bit further out. They're both in the major bit of downtown Toronto, and I strongly recommend making some time to pay them a visit. They are brilliant.
Cool. Tell you what, let's listen to that interview, shall we?
Shall we? Yes. This is Steve from Snakes and Lattes. Little 10-minute chat at one of the tables which wasn't being used. Apologies for the slight background noise of the quiet sound system in the place, but it shouldn't detract from your enjoyment of what was actually quite a fun little interview. Here I am in Toronto for a change with Steve from the rather fabulous Snakes and Lattes board game cafe. Hi, Steve.
Hi, nice to meet you.
How did this all come about?
Well, Snakes and Lattes first came about back in 2010.
Right.
Our owner had the idea to bring French-style toy libraries to Canada.
I didn't realise this was a French thing.
Yeah, well, the owner, Ben, is originally from Paris, so he was over here, and he started thinking about doing a toy library, and then realized that maybe board games would be better, and boy, was he right. We are now in year, I guess, 6.5 of being in operation. We have 2 current locations, and we are opening a 3rd one later this year in Toronto.
That's really, and this, for listeners obviously can't see, although I have a panorama which I'll stick on the show links. This place is huge.
Yes.
How many can you seat?
This particular venue seats, I believe we can max out at 280 people.
That's ridiculous.
Our original venue has a seating of 140.
And how typically, I mean, we are now, what, about a third full?
I would estimate about a quarter.
Yeah, there's a good few. And how many games?
This particular location, our library has 877 games on the wall. We have roughly the same at our annex location, closer to 1,000. Plus we have an archives that has at least another 1,000, if not 1,500, 2,000 more.
I mean, we're here on a Monday, so this is not a particularly busy. Are you full on a weekend?
Oh yes.
Typically?
Yeah, we are usually full on Fridays, Saturdays, and during the day on Sundays. We often run a waiting list. Back when we first opened and we were very small, we sat about 60 to 70 people. Our waiting list could get up to about 6 hours long on a weekend. Nowadays, with being able to seat between the 2 venues around 400 people, our waiting lists usually top out at an hour or 2.
But, I mean, we walked straight in here at 11 o'clock. Had some fabulous Canadian food. The pork pot poutine is awesome.
Glad you like it.
And our collection of tea drinkers are very happy.
Good.
You even fed the fussy teenager, so life is good. And we've been playing Last Day on Earth, which is a fabulous little zombie survival skirmish game. I think is about the best description, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which I will produce a plotted review of for our listeners, because I'm seriously considering buying it, because it's that much fun. What's the turnaround on having to replace games like? I mean, it strikes me that it's going to be one of your problems here is people play games, they wear out.
Oh yes, they do. And it varies from game to game. The more popular a game is, the quicker it will deteriorate.
Yeah, I noticed you've got things like half a dozen copies of Ticket to Ride. And several copies of Catan. And
yeah, absolutely. So anything that is really popular, we have multiple copies of. Partially because so many people want to play it that if we only had the one copy, there would be a waiting list for that game. But also to sort of defray the wear and tear. If there's only one copy of the game and it is in constant use, it wears out very quickly.
You laminate rulebooks.
Yes.
You don't card sleeve cards though. Is that deliberate?
It depends on the game.
All right.
It depends on if we have the right size sleeves, because publishers love to give us games with weird sizes for cards.
Yes.
And so it varies. Some games get sleeves, some don't. We've actually started laminating some card games.
Yeah.
It depends
on how much hammer the deck gets as part of gameplay.
That is also true.
I mean, with something like what we're playing, it's only just a draw, a couple of cards a turn. But if
Dominion, we sleeve.
Oh no!
Any deck builder gets sleeved.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great. So, where do folks go to find out more about you?
Well, they can go to our website, snakesandlattes.com, all one word, no punctuation, and that will show you links to our different venues, as well as our online store, our podcasts, our YouTube video channel. Yes, we have something called the Snakes Cast.
Right.
It's been going on, I think, for about 3 or 4 years now. For this new season, we've established a brand new format for it, where it used to be we would do a weekly podcast, it'll be a bunch of staff gathered together chatting about various games. And now the new format is we do 3 smaller episodes every week, with the Monday episode being sort of a beginner introduction to a particular game, with the Wednesday episode then being more in-depth, and then the Friday episode being, so, this is your favorite game, we're going to really sink into it.
Which does lead to the obvious question, what's your favorite game?
I have come to the conclusion that I don't have a favorite game. Being as my job is to recommend games to different people, I have a favorite party game, I have a favorite word game, I have a favorite 2-player game, I have a favorite game for large groups. So I have favorites all over the place, but certainly some of my favorites personally for me, I love Cosmic Encounter. I love Puerto Rico.
That's going back away.
Yeah, it is. More recently, I have been a big fan of Arcane Academy by Eric Lang and Kevin Wilson. Fantastic little engine-building game with a sort of Harry Potter-ish theme. Not affiliated with Harry Potter in any way. But
Most of our listeners, because we're as much a wargaming podcast, most of our listeners are more into sort of the slightly more strategy game.
Sure.
So what's your favourite in that sort of field?
In that range, I have very fond memories of my teenage years playing Mega Supremacy.
Wow, that's good. It's going back away, isn't it?
I used to play that with my friends in high school a fair bit. For anyone who doesn't know, it's a long out-of-print war game that involves a stock market element for oil and other materials. Tons of expansions that add, nuclear content, submarines, all sorts of fun stuff. So it's sort of an Axis and Allies, but set during what then was the modern age, so the Cold War.
Yeah. Great. So, if you are lamenting the fact that we don't do anywhere near as much board game coverage as we should, check out these guys' podcast. If you're ever in the Toronto area or even close, I know we have listeners in Ontario, come down. This place is awesome.
Well, thank you.
And thank you ever so much, Steve.
My pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. And look out for the podcast. Check out these guys in the show notes. Check out their podcast. And this is me signing out because I'm flying back to the UK in about 6 hours' time.
So, there you go. That's Snakes and Lattes. Really, as I said, can't recommend it enough. Neil should have a couple of photos, including a nice panorama of what's only about half the place, on the show notes, as well as a link to the show their website, to the Snakes and Lattes website and their podcast, which I urge you to listen to, as they cover more board games than we do now.
Cool. Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. So, Mr. Hobbs, what have you been up to then?
I've been to Abergavenny.
No.
Yes.
Hello, Mark.
Yeah, mine is not as exciting as you chaps. Fairly sort of standard, really. I've done a bit more painting.
Yeah, what have you been painting this week?
I've almost finished my half track. My half track.
I can tell Jeff's getting worried.
Yeah, he is. He keeps nagging me about it, but it's going to be done. It's going to be done properly. I've painted some Rune Wars figures. So I've done the Spearman.
What, all of them?
Which I'll be posting.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I've done those, and I'm halfway through the skeletons now. Yeah. So I've done that. I had a game. So as you guess, I went over to see my mate Mark. Met up with another old mate, Phil, and Mark is really interested in the War of the Roses, and he is going to one of the Richard III Society events later this year. I think it's in August. And he's putting on a participation game of the Battle of Bosworth.
Okay.
What with it being the Richard III Society.
Yes.
So he wanted to test that out. So it's a game he's using basic impetus. And he's sort of written a scenario which encapsulates key moments of the battle, shall we say.
Right.
So it's not a scripted, you have to move this unit over here. It's basically, this is where you start off. But he's just dropped in little sort of cards and events which take place during the battle, which sort of drive you towards a sort of logical conclusion.
Mm.
shall we say. So we played that using Basic Impetus. And me and Mark were the Yorkists. And mate Phil was the Lancastrians. And shall we say that history repeated itself.
Okay.
But it was a fantastic game. Basic Impetus is quite nice. I mean, Mark knows the rules, back to front, so he knows what he's doing, which really helps. So I literally was just pointing the fingers, going, "Can we attack with those, please?"
Is this Basic Impetus or Basic Impetus 2?
Basic Impetus 2. Sorry.
Oh, right, okay.
Yes. Yeah, so it's the new version, but he's been all over the rules. Yeah, great game. I mean, it got to the stage where the Yorkists, under my brilliant generalship, Mark was hardly doing anything. And under my brilliant generalship, we were winning the battle. We pushed back those damn Lancastrians. And all we had to do was sit tight, and we would have won the game. But unfortunately, there was a space on the battlefield opened up, and there was Henry at one side, and directly opposite, we had Richard.
Who'd have thunk?
Yeah. Yeah. And me and Mark went, "Shall we?" Just like, charge.
It would be rude not to. Yes.
Yeah. And even though everything was telling me, "Why am I doing this? This is stupid. We're going to lose the battle." Because if Richard dies, the battle's over. But
if Henry dies, the battle's over, surely.
Exactly, yeah. And he was there on his own with just some retainers. And, So Richard died again. And we managed to drag a defeat out of the jaws of victory.
Excellent stuff.
Yeah, a good game. And it shows what you can do with just scenario design. And clever scenario design. So, yeah, that was good. Other than that, well, I did some counting.
Sorry?
I did some accounting.
Oh.
And I chatted to my brand new accountant who's based in Spain, Hi Benito. And he pointed out that because I was going to go to Salute and I didn't go, that therefore the money that I would have spent is actually in my Wargames budget.
Yeah, go on.
So I bought a copy of Room Wars.
Oh, so you bought another copy of Room Wars?
Yeah.
Did you buy the second copy of Room Wars for the same reason I bought the second copy of Room Wars?
Well, because I wanted more figures and an extra set of templates and any other reason just to justify it to myself.
It sounds eminently good to me, yes. And it's like, okay, I know you get the upgrade cards with the expansion boxes they're releasing at the end of next month, isn't it? Or in a couple of weeks, or whatever it is. I know you get the extra cards, but it's like, hang on a minute. Why would you not buy a second box especially when you haven't got an individual set of each of the upgrade cards in the initial box anyway? Yes, it's the extra template, but the fact is, you end up getting 2 sets of figures for the price of 1 set of figures. Why would you not do it?
Exactly. Yes.
And to be honest, already I'm looking at some of the stuff on the FFG community website on the forum, and I'm thinking, do I really want to even consider doing organised play with this, or shall I just leave it to myself and just have fun with it? The only reason I think you'd buy the expansion boxes with with more of the same troops is if you're really desperate to get hold of the unit upgrade cards because you wanted to play in tournament.
I've heard rumours that they're gonna, instead of just having specific upgrade cards per box, that they're gonna have literally like one deck of upgrade cards, which will be in all the boxes. I don't know whether that's true. Because apparently there's been some, they've taken some notice of the community who was saying, like, why do I have to buy another X-Wing just to get this card?
Yes. It'd be interesting to see what they do. Obviously, there's certain boxes you buy as a no-brainer. I mean, I'll come on to that in a minute. But yes. Okay. Second box of Really Wars it's almost rude not to, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Good man.
So that's me. I'm all done.
Okay. What have we been up to, Mr. Luff? Other than salute, what have we been doing?
Building and building more terrain.
Indeed. You may have seen pictures of Dave, wielding a large glue gun with evil intent.
We were messing around, weren't we? And it just got to the stage, it was like, I'm not messing around with these silly glue pots anymore. Disappeared outside to the van, and pulled back my glue gun with the no more nails in it.
Yeah, it's like, yes, it was like, fed up with dealing with these small dithering tubes of glue. That's not a tube of glue. This is a tube of glue. You know.
So this is for Kenneth's Heroes, is it?
This is indeed for Kenneth's Heroes. Yes,
If it happens.
As it happens. Yes.
If it happens.
What do you mean? If it happens? Oh, always the voice of doom in the background. Always the voice of. I mean, okay. How long have we got? 6 weeks. 6 weeks. Ages.
The thing is, I mean, let's be honest, right? It doesn't matter what we take. I mean, I'm helping Jeff on his table, and Jeff's really good at making terrain. You guys are making terrain, but no one's going to look at our tables. We could have a blanket and some cardboard bits of A4 saying this is a building, and people won't take any notice because Al Stewart is making bleeding Stalingrad.
Oh my word! Doesn't that look good? It was like, yeah, I must admit, yeah, I looked at that and thought, yeah, I don't know why I bother.
Yeah,
it was like, oh.
And it just looks amazing.
It's absolutely incredible. And even Jim Ibbotson building his. I've just thrown some of these fences together.
Yeah. I don't want to be the table next to Al's or Jim's. Honestly, I think put them together in one place, and we'll all go into a side room.
Game for mortals.
Yeah, game for
yes. Alan's Stalingrad table. I mean, you see it coming together. I mean, even the fact that he's kind of scratch built most of his rail yard. I think he had he's used existing chassis. He's scratch built all the carriages for them, and then the pictures he put out, was it today? And it's all bricked up, and it's like, oh my word!
What rule sets are you using?
Chain of command.
I think that, they're doing chain.
It's chain rather than I shot one.
Yeah, it's chain.
Yeah. 28 mil Stalingrad, the chemical factory.
I'm not going to beat him, but I'm rather hoping to have a fairly sprawling Italian town by June.
Well, I mean, having said that, I mean, Mr. Luff has done a bang up job in putting phone call buildings together, and plastering skills with putting render on and various other bits and pieces, and we spent a couple of days over Easter doing that, Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, we still got a lot to do. I mean, there was Dave, making buildings and constructing. We've got a brewery we're putting together, and he's building all that. And all I seemed to achieve during the whole of that time was gluing bits of embossed plastic onto foam core, so I could do a whole load of kind of ruined
walls.
Yeah, ruined walls.
Other ice creams available.
Yeah. So Dave kind of outstripped me in his terrain construction, but we're getting there. And then you just kind of inform me that no sooner have you got back from Salute that you built your brain carriers.
Yeah.
And painted them.
Don't mess around. Just did that.
That's not bad considering it's only Wednesday.
Did that Sunday about 11 o'clock while I was waiting for Sunday dinner to cook. So everything's in the oven, I'll just stick those together. Check the oven. Alright, oven's okay, everything's good. Okay, go back, paint them.
You didn't put the plastic in the oven, did you?
No.
I tell you, the amount of times over that last week where he said, tell you what, shall we put this in the oven? Because Clarky put stuff in the oven. It seems to work for him.
Foam board in the oven. Would have been interesting.
What could possibly go wrong?
Exactly.
Put it on a low heat, it'll be fine.
Yeah. Door
Yeah.
open.
Yeah.
Neil's head under it.
All right. Yeah. So we've been building a lot of scenery. I found my tigers out. I got my. I got some tigers.
Is that the truth? I tell you what.
No, I'm staring at him right now. I found my tigers
I get
out.
a potted truth, guys. I do, and then you come on the show, and then you realise that actually what he's been going on about is the fact is that he's not telling you that he's misplaced the tigers and he doesn't know where they are. That's why he's not painted them.
No, it's rubbish. Anyway, I've got my tigers. And other than that, I mean, I've been, I spent a bit of time. I've been putting together some MDF buildings because I'm trying to catch up with some of the reviews I was meant to be doing. So I've been putting together some Japanese buildings. Touristic precision ones are really nice, but you'll find out more about that when I do an official review. Put together my first Room Wars box. Put all those figures together. Got some nice figures in there, haven't they, Mr. Hobbs?
They're very nice. Did you use plastic glue or super glue?
Super glue.
Yeah.
Correction. I used plastic glue, or no, correction. I attempted to use plastic glue on my first pack of Spearmen. Got halfway through and said, this is not working. Went back, read the instructions, and physically, in the Fantasy Flight instructions, it says use super glue. So I use super glue.
Yeah, I didn't read that.
Did you just use super glue anyway?
No, I used plastic glue, and I'm now going back and sticking them all back together again when they fall to pieces.
Yeah. I started using plastic glue, and I was going through it, and of course, obviously, because it's a softer compound, it just doesn't work in the same way that you would normally with, like the Plastic Soldier Company kits or what have you, or when you're putting them together, it immediately kind of starts to melt and weld, and it just wasn't doing it, and it was like, this isn't working. So I went back and checked, and actually in the build instructions in the back of the rule book it says, use super glue. And then I've read somewhere else where they said yes, use super glue because it's the wrong sort of plastic to use plastic glue with. Despite the fact, funny enough, as you go around the web, several people who have done unboxing videos say, "Oh yeah, you can use plastic glue." No, you can't. It doesn't work. You have to use super glue. But put them together. The humans generally okay, although the rune golem's really nice. Really like the undead figures. The archers are a bit fiddly to put together, but I really do like the undead figures. I think they're great.
Yeah, no, they're really nice. I like them.
Yeah,
paint up.
Yeah, so I put those together. So MDS scene and I put the Rune Wars stuff together. But obviously, I'm not meant to tell you that because if Mr. Luff's listening, he'll tell me off for doing that rather than concentrating on doing stuff for Lardy Day.
No, I've given up.
But to be fair, that was before we did spend our spent best part of 2 days full time doing it. So I felt justified in doing that a little bit.
Well, you've got a nice long bank holiday coming up. You can do it all over the weekend.
Although there is a small matter of the fact of I've got a Test of Honor boot camp coming up in a couple of weeks, which apparently I'm meant to have a 21-point painted army for. I don't think that's going to happen. It's like either it's Mr. Jones, Mr. Hobbs, help me, you're my only hope.
I was going to send you some photographs, weren't I, of mine?
You,
yeah,
yes. Although yes, I'm reliably informed that Mr. Jones can lend me an army, so I think I might, since he's going anyway. I think I might save you some postage, Mr. Hobbs. But yeah. So that's what I've been doing, and other than that, me and Dave have been making scenery like it's going out of fashion. And Dave's done a bang-up job of these buildings that he's been making for this. I know he's been he was a bit worried about a few bits and pieces, but they're looking really nice. Anyway, we're about halfway through. Yeah. He won't be happy until we got it all on the table and sorted it all out, but Yeah,
I'm not.
give it another week or so. Then.
I'm not a last minute Fred. I'm not a last minute Fred. I'll get it done, get it sorted, then lay back and relax and bask in the glory.
I will not hear the last of it until it's done.
Well, I know
So, yeah.
it's difficult to keep you on target. Stay on target. Stay on target.
Don't go towards the light.
It's like, Neil, you really don't need to put those things together. They've got nothing to do with Lardy Day. You've had them for 12 years and you haven't touched them yet. So why decide to do them now?
But Room Wars I only had for a couple of weeks. So and I want to play a game.
I didn't say about anything to do with Room Wars. Anyway.
So, folks, tune in next week when this argument will still be going on.
Indeed it will. Indeed it will. Guess what? Mr. Hitman's copy of Dark Souls turned up today. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Another Dungeon Bash game to dilute the...
You're already brilliant, Paul.
I'm just looking at the number of expansions for Last Night on Earth and thinking, maybe I shouldn't just yet.
It's a good. Last Night on Earth is a good, and I do really like the artwork on it as well. I mean, they've done. Flying Frog did that with a couple of their games, where they basically, it was almost like they basically made themselves up as film extras for a couple of days and photographed all the artwork. It's really impressively well done.
And it's a really, really nice, elegant, simple system as well, which makes it even better.
I'm actually thinking whether or not we might have actually in the dim distant past we might have actually done a review of Last Night on Earth. I think there was a show where we did loads of zombie games, and I might have mentioned it. It's been a few years since it was out, but that's a good game.
Is that the sort of British style zombie game?
You've certainly blogged it.
Yeah.
You blogged it back in 2008 with the Growing Hunger expansion. 2008?
Yes, yeah.
2008 with the Growing Hunger expansion. I don't think we've actually got an audio review of it anywhere.
No, it's not a British one. It's most definitely American.
Oh, it's most definitely American. It's got the classic stereotypes.
Yeah.
We had an absolutely brilliant moment, in fact, where Anne had the high school quarterback hero, and our friend Rika, who's also a board game nut, had the high school sweetheart, who had picked up the chainsaw.
I was about to say, yes.
in true Buffy Faith fashion, and was basically going through zombies like a dose of salts, rescued the quarterback from a rather grisly fate. At which point, I and JT, who were playing the zombies, I drew you get action cards, and one of the zombie ones is if there are, it's highly genderist. If there are a male and female hero in the same square, you can make them do nothing for a turn. Yes.
What's this? Whilst they're getting distracted doing something else. Yes.
At which point, Anna's the high school quarterback. He's hanging it up, going, "My heroine!" and then I proceeded to completely corpse them by revealing the following turn that I'd had 2 of that card.
Oh right, okay.
But it was brilliant. It's a really fun game. It's just got enough. I mean, this is a potty review now. Let's face it. It has just enough of a role play element that that people who aren't necessarily keen on zombie games and board games can have fun just playing it. It was good fun. But we digress, and I'm not going to be buying it right now. Honest, even if I do have the Amazon page for it open at the moment.
Yeah, step away from that one. Step away from that. Yeah, we've been buying stuff. Dave's bought that. I haven't. I may have also ordered a couple of the Room Wars expansions.
Neil, really fancy buying 2 expansions as well.
They're out next week, so I don't know if they count yet. But the two hero packs, the 2, the musician hero and standard bearer, and yeah. Have you perchance ordered those? I'll take that as a yes. Possibly, yes.
Well, I took advice from my accountant.
Thank you, Benito.
He was very insistent.
Oh.
He sort of,
Yes.
Different budgets.
There we go.
Always do what your accountant says.
Hang on a second. I'm just wondering on a point of order here, guys. Since Rune Wars is published by what we all know is a board game company, does Rune Wars count as a board game?
No.
Oh.
No.
That's a shame.
That's really tenuous now.
Yeah, I suppose it's a bit of a giveaway, the fact it's got miniatures game in the title. I was just wondering if I could get away with it.
That's really tenuous.
Yeah. Of course, the other thing that might shock all of you is that apparently I'm getting roped into a 5th edition D&D campaign as the games master in my spare time.
In your spare time when you're supposed to be painting figures for Operation Market Love.
Thank you, Mr. Whitaker.
You're welcome, Dave. Mine's a pint.
Yeah, no worries.
Well, that's going to be a short campaign.
Yeah, and by the way, you were right, Neil. Meeples episode 21.
Oh, it's 21. Thank you. Yes.
Way back in the midst of time.
I knew it was a while ago.
It's back in the Whispering Neil days. Hello, welcome to Meeples and Miniatures.
Episode 21.
And on that note, are we done?
Yep.
I think we are.
I think we are. This is going to be a short show.
It will be by the time you've edited it.
Yeah.
Nobody will believe us.
Okay, well, that was our swift, unplanned follow-up to the Salute show, where we found out all about our Salute and what we've been up to this week. All that's left to be said is thank you to listening, one and all. Thank you for your participation, the Welsh Wizard.
Thank you, Neil, and farewell to the Meeps. We will speak next week.
Indeed. Thank you to the filk legend that is Mr. Mike Whitaker.
Who were Mrs. Yeah. Thank you. You're welcome. Missed you guys.
And thank you to the almighty
Luff.
Guru Luff.
Yeah. You don't forget it, guys.
All hail him.
That's right. I'm going to bring out a miniatures range.
Right. Oh! Before we go, we will be missed. There is one thing we have left to do.
And that would be?
That would be, we need to announce a contest winner. There's probably only one of the crew who are aware of it, because there's only one of the other crew who actually listen back to the shows. This points out who's listened to a show, because this was an extra bit. This was an extra competition I put in.
To be fair, that is usually me, but I've been kind of busy of late prepping for Toronto.
Yes, fair enough. I can't remember what show number it was, but about a month ago, we announced a giveaway for basically to get a copy of Congo, which is the War Games rules from Studio Tomahawk. Okay, it's an ex-review copy. I was sent a copy to review. There's a review on the website, and I thought it would be good to give that away as a prize. And I asked for people to send in their entries and tell me why, in 140 characters or less, why they should have the game Congo. And we would adjudicate the winner. I think we have something of a clear winner, don't we, Mr. Hobbs?
Well, it depends if you're going to agree with me or not.
I think we do, yes. It has to be fair, it wasn't the largest number of entries that we've had for a competition, but quality was high as always. But the winner was simple in its content and outline. It was from Meep Benny. Meep Benny, yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Benny Mickelstein.
Yes, Benny Mickelstein, otherwise known as Meep Benny, who was very short and succinct in his reason that why he should get this copy of Congo, and that was because
he said, "I'm Belgium. We owned Congo."
And that's what he said, and it was like, enough said, fair enough. Exactly. I thought that was brilliant. So, Benny, send me an email with your details, and we'll get a copy. And we will get your copy of Congo off to you. And check back in next week, and I believe we will have another competition for you. Is that not right, Mr. Hobbs?
Oh, we do. Yes. A big competition as well.
Big competition.
Surprising.
Courtesy of one of our podcast listeners and Patreon supporters, the cranky lawyer himself. But more of that next week.
Of course, you do realise that the odds are that our contest winner was in fact Salute, and if you'd been a bit quicker at sorting out the results, you could have given him it there.
Shut up, Mike.
Yeah, but the closing date wasn't until this weekend.
Well, that was a bit of an oversight then, wasn't it?
You don't think we plan things, Mike, do you?
This is Neil we're talking about.
I don't know, leave you alone for a week and you can't organise anything.
Yes. So on that note of the competition winner, it is finally time to say goodbye. So thank you all and all for listening. Take care of yourselves. Happy gaming, and we will speak to you next week.
Bye. Roll good dice.
Bye. I haven't got anything funny to say. Dave's gone already.
That's usual. No, we wouldn't expect anything less from Dave. That's Luffy's trademark, isn't it?
Oh, and one last, very final thing, which I almost forgot about. If you're going to the Test of Honor Bootcamp at Warlord Games HQ this coming Saturday, that's May the 6th, make sure you come and say hi. I'd love to chat. Thank you for listening to the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, why not share it with others by leaving us a review on iTunes? And if you have any comments or questions, you can always email the show. The address is info@meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. And you can also visit our webpage, where you'll find a complete episode archive, all the View from the Veranda podcasts, rules reviews, and our blog of hobby items and news, which is updated several times a week. This is also where you'll find the links to our presence on social media, and here you can follow us on Twitter or join our Facebook group. And finally, here you can also find details should you wish to support us by making a donation to the podcast. All this on the Meeples and Miniatures website, www.meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported license. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.